Hello everyone, welcome to the Students at SC20 event. I'm very excited to be here to share my story with you about my path to HPC. I am Jesmin Jahat. I work as a research scientist in the parallel computing labs at Intel, where I focus on high-performance computing and software hardware co-design of next-generation processors and systems, targeting large-scale machine learning and graph applications. I do a bunch of other things which are not relevant for today's topic. If you are interested, please check out my LinkedIn profile to know more. It is interesting that I knew nothing about HPC until my PhD course studies. I wanted to work in the area of natural language processing or NLP, but I could not manage funding. My second choice was to work on bioinformatics, and the professor who was working on bioinformatics was also working on parallel algorithms. I took his course on parallel algorithms and supercomputing, and that was the first time I got introduced to the concepts of HPC. In this course, I was able to work on some exciting projects on parallel graph and sorting algorithms, as well as molecular dynamics. At that time, I saw the power of parallelization and the need for efficient data movement for performance. That opened up a whole new area to me that I was completely unfamiliar with. I submitted one of those project results as a poster at SC12, which got accepted. This was my first supercomputing conference. By attending that conference, I got introduced to the broader supercomputing community. I learned about the breadth of HPC and real-world applications where HPC matters. I also learned about job prospects of HPC. Soon after that, I got my first internship offer from Intel, where I worked on data flow pipelining architecture and mapped a bioinformatics algorithm to that architecture. I was able to obtain 100x speed up compared to traditional x86 architecture with my implementation. From this work, I learned about special purpose accelerators and a different way of thinking of parallelization, which I didn't learn from my course studies. My second internship was in the Google Cloud Data Flow team, where I worked on a weak distributed system and I developed a rate limiting support for the cloud server. I learned about a different type of parallelization and needs for quality of service in such system. At this point, I want to pause and tell you that I know a lot of you think that you need a reference to get an internship, which is not true. I got my first two internships without any reference, simply by applying in the company website in their job posting. So do not be afraid to apply for your internship on the company website. If you are qualified, it's highly likely that you will get an interview call. My third internship was at Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, and I worked on developing a statistical runtime prediction model for task-based divide and conquer applications. By this time, I had experience with 3 different working environments, and that helped me to decide about my work after my PhD. So I graduated with a PhD from Stony Brook University in 2015, and I started working at Intel on HPC research in 2016. I used to think that HPC is a narrow area that relates to only scientific computing, whether simulation, physics or chemistry, or biological simulations. But that thought have changed because I'm seeing in the last few years, the ideas or concepts of HPC are being used in large big data applications, in large graph processing, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Deep learning has really become an HPC problem now, so my NLP needs HPC. Because of the growth of data and the speed of computers, HPC has crossed its traditional application boundary and is touching many more application areas. This brings many new challenges as well as opportunities for innovations. A lot more innovations are happening in the architecture, interconnect, packaging, as well as in the programming models to meet the demand of these new applications. So it's really a continuous learning process, which is fun. So my advice to you will be HPC is fun, go for it. To keep it fun, encourage diversity and inclusion. HPC is expanding. Get in-depth knowledge of HPC and algorithmic principles. Then expand your breadth by applying your knowledge to new emerging fields and always remain keen on learning. Thank you for listening. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions.